Hey guys, Big Ed here, and we are here with our Super Bowl special. I have really some great guests tonight. I have myself, which is not a great guest. We also have Carl Bond. We have Koch, aka Swede, and we have Lumpy. Hey Lumpy, how you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good. So tonight we're going to break down a little bit about the Chiefs and the Eagles and see who's going to win. Unfortunately for Pete, we have three Eagles fans on board here, but Pete, I'm sure, is going to give us his analysis of what's happening with the game. And we're going to ask everybody who they think is going to win and why. First, I'm going to start with you, Pete. Uh, who do you think is going to win? Why? And give us some good reasons why you think so.
Well, look, I'm going to pull for the Chiefs. I'm going to be a homer on that. This game scares me to death. It's I'm not a gambling guy, but I did look at the odds, and I guess the Chiefs are favored by 1.5, and so that says quite a bit. It's going to be a competitive game, and I'm really this feels like an authentic matchup of the best team in the AFC. The team and the Chiefs were truly, from a wins and losses standpoint, clearly, rolled through their competitive season in charge. Although they also presented quite a bit of drama along the way, but you can't deny their wins and losses. And I think the Eagles, once they, got up to speed, really dominated their conference,
Yeah.
all the way through the playoffs. And so it really feels like an authentic matchup of the teams that are most deserved to be in this Super Bowl.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I definitely believe that also. But Carl, what's your thoughts on what's Pete's take on this?
I totally agree with Pete. I'm fortunate enough to get to watch them every week at home, up close and personal. So,
That's right. That's right.
they just have they have so many parts that you have to account for that it's hard to really defend them. And I know a lot of people will criticize Jalen Hurts because he doesn't have the gaudy numbers, but the bottom line is and that's all that matters. I don't care if it's 3-0; it's still a win. And he's clutch. He doesn't make the major mistakes now. A lot of people look at what happened to that team last year, how they collapsed. We'll never know what the real reason was. To me, and Pete, I'm sure you know, it had to be something in that locker room. There had to be a disconnect in that locker room because
Well, sure felt like it.
Pete, that we played on as close as we were, nothing like that would have happened. So it just felt to me like there was something going on in that locker room, and it seemed to me like it got corrected. Once they added Saquon with that offensive line and the two receivers they have, they're just a machine. And then defensively, when you add the two top corners in the draft in Mitchell and DeJean, and you get lucky with a guy like Zach Bond, and you have a rookie or second-year defensive lineman like Jalen Carter, he's a beast. I mean, the guy,
Yeah.
a beast. So their defense is a lot better than it was 2 years ago when they played the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And a lot of people forget that last year the Eagles and the Chiefs played in a regular season, and the Eagles won.
Right.
And they did it by, using their running game and using AJ Brown. It's kind of hard when you play against a team like the Eagles. Who do I stop? Do I stop Saquon? Do I stop the receivers? Do I stop the tight end Goddard? Or I got to account for Jalen Hurts and his legs. So they're a tough match for anybody.
Yeah, the way I see it, and I'm going to ask Lumpy in a minute, but the way I see it is, they have all these weapons, but the one guy that can put the X's and O's together, Steve Spagnuolo, was a great coach when he was with the Eagles. I know he's a great coach with the Chiefs again, and I'm sure they'll dial up something for them. I see them bringing a lot of pressure. They're going to make Hurts make quick decisions, and that's why I think the running game has to be key on this, and they got to be able to do quick blitz pick up, get the right guys in the right spot. Trying to beat the guys through the eight gaps, through misdirection, stuff like this. So I do see a lot of that happening. But Lump, what's your thoughts on it?
Everybody talks about how many weapons Hertz has, and he does. But to me, it's not about having weapons; it's about having the right weapons. Like you get there's a lot of running backs in the league who are good running backs, but I don't think that anyone fits into what we have here as well as Barkley does. Like he can catch out of the backfield. He runs, obviously, but he can catch out of the backfield also. So you can't really take your eyes off of him. Whereas I think some running backs in the league, once they go through their fake handoff and they're blocking, like they're a moot point. Like that's it. There's no more part of the game. Well, Barkley has more than that. Barkley can, chip a defensive end and then fall onto the flat, and he's probably one of your top 5 receivers out of the backfield also in the league.
Yeah.
You really can't forget about him in that aspect either.
And it's odd. It's odd that
Yeah.
you said Lumpy, because they really haven't used that aspect of the game of it.
No, not nearly enough.
They haven't. They really haven't had to, because he's run the ball so well.
Yeah.
I mean,
But-
first run against Washington was, I never saw somebody shot out of a cannon so fast in all my life. It was
Right.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And
Carl,
you
like you said, but other weapons, and how do you do it? I mean, do you load the box and protect the run because you have
Right.
2 great receivers out there and a pretty good tight end?
Yeah.
Or do you drop an extra man into coverage and now you're 1 short in the box? Now you may not get a home run, but you're going to get 10, 12-yard runs a lot. So
Right.
like what do you do?
I honestly think that what the Eagles have to do is they have to have Hurts make quicker decisions and then actually have it more scripted, so when the different looks that they get, to be able to get the ball out. But going back to the Chiefs, look, you can't sell them short. My God,
Oh no.
they have so many weapons out there with Kelsey, and now they have Kareem Hunt, and they also have Pacheco, the Vineland product out of South Jersey. You can't stand the fact that he's playing against the Eagles, but plus their defense. Now, Pete, let's talk a little bit about the Chiefs' defense. I know they have Johnson, but who else do they have that really? Because I really don't watch the Chiefs that often, to be honest. So maybe you could tell us a little bit something about their D and what they do.
Man, it starts with Chris Jones.
Or Jones, I'm sorry.
He's a dominant. Yeah, he's
Absolutely.
a dominant force. He's I think he is playing that that 5-6 technique.
Right.
They move him around a little bit, as well as anybody in the league. 6'6", 300 pounds. He's an edge rusher, and he just manhandles. When you line him up in the 2 technique, he just manhandles most guards in this league. So he's playing as well as anybody at that position. So, and as he plays, I think the rest of the Chiefs' defense, their secondary, which has been a subject of, maybe that's the weakest part of their game the last 4 or 5 seasons. They've stepped it up with some draft picks and look stronger than ever. And I don't know, we get a very solid unit. And to your earlier point, Spags is a world class. He might be a Hall of Fame coordinator. And
He's got 4 rings.
Right.
Yeah.
Wild. And it's almost like a guy like Andy Reid, who was if he wasn't a Hall of Fame head coach, he'd I guess he'd be bouncing around. It's hard to imagine as an offensive coordinator someplace, but his play design and play calling is Hall of Fame level. So it's almost an embarrassment of riches to have, Spags on his staff. And then, and I'm just blanking on his name, but the Chiefs' longtime special teams coordinator.
It's not Danny Smith. It's not the guy that was with him for years, was it?
Tobbs is his last name.
Okay.
In fact, I know a little bit about him only because a friend of mine who played at Texas El Paso played football with Tobbs. As a football player, he of course he didn't go to the NFL, but he went straight into coaching. And the Chiefs are, think of it this way, just a painful reminder of 2 years ago. In the fourth quarter, the game-changing plays. The game-changing plays are always seen as scoring plays, but really, what turned the tables. The Chiefs turned the tables on the Eagles was on special teams.
Mm-hmm.
It was a punt return.
Yes.
It was. I don't know if the guy's in the league anymore, but the guy, the punter for the Eagles.
No, he's not.
Oh, that was that Australian guy, right?
One of the most unclutched punts in the history of the Super Bowl. It was right. So it was a return right. So he's supposed to direct the ball to the right. I found this out. I was fascinated by the play. I actually looked at some videos after the game on it, and he shanked it left. So he had all of his guys covering to the right, and he hits a low ball left. And the Chiefs returner, I forget who it is at this moment, I mean, has to sprint like a bat out of hell to get 35 yards across the field to this sinking line drive. And it gave him a tremendous opportunity. I think he didn't score. I think he took it to the 2-yard line.
He took
he took it all the way down.
Oh, did he take it all the way?
No, he didn't.
No, all the way down to the 2. Yeah.
He called it on a
told
full
the story
sprint.
perfectly, and then you stepped on me at the end and screwed it up. Thank you.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, what can I say? Yeah, so we're talking about, speaking of special teams, I mean, look what's happening with Elliott, though. I mean, we have to have a good game out of him this week, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things, I'm fortunate enough I get to watch him during warmups. So it's just like, okay, he's looking pretty good during warmups. But then again, once the game becomes live, it's just odd. And I know when he missed the extra points, there was it was a pretty windy day, and the winds at the link can be pretty swirling, pretty. You look at the top of the flags, there's the wind swirling one way, and you're down on the field, and it's whipping another way. So it can be pretty hectic down there on a windy day. But
right,
some of those field goals he missed were just unexplainable. It's just, you can't explain why he missed them.
Yeah, well, you're right there.
You might be an advantage there to have you're either going to be in the controlled confines of the Superdome.
Yeah.
Maybe that balances things up a little bit in the favor of a kicker that does struggle with the wind. And that's a real thing. Right. That's in my years in the league and seeing Nick Lowry was, I think, part of the reason he was such a successful kicker in Kansas City was that how good he was at especially the second half of the season. Right. And Carl, I totally get it. And when you're on the field, you can see what you don't see on TV is if it's a gust of wind will really move that ball.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's an interesting point because I see this game coming down to something within 3 points.
Yeah. I mean, that's what's the spread right now? 1 point?
1.5.
Yeah. I mean, look, okay. And then we were going to talk about predictions because I said, we're not going to take too much time, but if I look at the game itself, if they play the way that I think they're going to play, and if I think that the Eagles, they come to play defensively, if they come out and they take it to Mahomes and they get him a little bit nervous, the thing that scares me about the Eagles defense has always been the middle of the field. I think that the short passes and stuff, because Fangio's defense has always been, but don't break. It's always been that way. But if they play them tough and they play tight, the new corners they have, especially Kenyon Mitchell, I mean, he does a great job. He takes away one of their weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be interesting to see what's going to happen with Cooper DeJean, if he's going to be. I guess Carl, you would know, or would you see he would line up on Kelsey, or who would you put on him? Because
I could see them. I could see them putting DeJean on Kelsey, but I could also see him covering him with Zach Bond.
Yeah, Bond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bond can run.
Yeah, he can run. So
I know. He's been like such a breath of fresh air for this team this year. They finally got a linebacker. It's a shame what happened to Kobe Dean.
Yeah.
He was playing so well also, but yeah, I saw that.
I'll tell you, Ed, I look at it this way: when it comes down to who's going to win and lose, it's a matchup. So if you take the Chiefs offense versus the Eagles defense, obviously, of those two, who's better? And I think it's pretty close. But I think the Eagles defense might be a little bit better than the Chiefs offense. And flip the coin to the Eagles offense and the Chiefs defense, and I think the Eagles offense is better than the Chiefs defense. So if you go that simple on it, the Eagles should win the game.
The funny thing is,
but it's not that simple.
Yeah, but what happened last time? The X factor is Mahomes.
Yeah, sure.
The X factor is Mahomes to me. I think that,
no doubt.
And if the Eagles' offensive line dominates, and if they could take with Johnson, they take number 95. they take him out of the game, or Jones. I keep on calling him Jones. Jones. They take him out of the game. I'll tell you right now. That's. I mean, they could dominate up front. If they have that kind of game, I think it's going to be good for the Eagles. If the Chiefs defensive line does a good job against the Eagles, that's gonna be a problem, and I think that's part of this. And honestly, they want the ball in Hurts's hands. They want him to have to make decisions.
Yeah.
They want, because sometimes he sits on it, and that's always been my problem with Jalen. I think he's better when he like rolls and the run pass option. If they do stuff like this, if they can introduce some of that into the game. But that's how I see it. But I mean, look, that's why they get paid millions of dollars, and I'm here doing a talk show with you guys. But I was just, I don't know what your thoughts were.
I think
Ed, to your point, I think the hype machine, and I think it could, might cut two ways. But the hype machine has been, I've heard a lot of like sports talk that the Eagles have the best offensive line in the league this year, and it might be a historic assembly of guys, and that puts pressure on that group. I'm with you. If you think you can slow down Chris Jones, you're welcome to try, but it's going to take a concerted. Because really, Chris Jones is in company, but he's certainly their guy, and it's going to take it'll take a concerted effort to slow him down. But if they do, then it's wow. I think it could be a high scoring game. And
Yeah.
I think both quarterbacks can light it up. Mahomes had relative to his career, he's probably had a B- season personally, his numbers, because the expectation, the bar is so high. It's like MVP or second or third place in the MVP. That's the bar for him, and he wasn't in the conversation. He shouldn't have been in the conversation this year. And the same goes for his partner in crime. I don't know, Travis Kelce. I don't know if Travis Kelce had 3 regular season touchdowns, I believe, and he didn't even have 9. I don't think he had 900 yards receiving. He had a bunch of catches, but he looked like a solid tight end. He didn't look like anything special. I don't know if that was how it was just going for both those guys, or I don't think Mahomes played any lesser because he's older. Although I think Travis Kelce isn't. Yeah, this is the first time he looked like he got older. But as we all know, when you play the game, at the different levels, they handle it a bit differently. But a guy, Travis Kelce, could have been banged up, and they might have kept it, out of the press. You never know, guys. We know that everybody on that field is playing with an injury at this point in the season.
Mhm.
It's just a matter of to what level that injury is.
Yeah.
It's like the coaches used to say: "Are you injured or are you hurt?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So,
a lot of
Pete, like you were saying about Chris Jones, not many guards in the NFL, your typical guard can match up against him.
Not a good matchup.
But I'll tell you what, though, the Eagles picked up Mekhi Beckham as their
Is that the big
guard.
fella?
Yeah, 6'7", 6'6",
Let me tell you
340.
about Becton, and I get
Is that him?
close up.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah, he's beast, right?
Everybody
Yeah.
talks about George Mailata's size.
yeah,
Tackle. Becton is just as big, if not bigger, than him.
he's bigger.
So and Carl, you've seen him up close. He's like,
Yeah, he's a mountain of a man. I mean, he's a big guy. So both,
and as you know, like very few guys that are that tall can really bend and do what you need to do.
Right. I mean, you got to give Stoutland credit to see that. Well, actually, Stoutland has said that it was Sirianni who suggested that they move him to guard.
Really?
This guy is 6'6", 6'7". And there's not that many guards in the NFL who are 6'6", 6'7".
No.
I know, but I'll tell you what. I mean, I'm sorry, Carl.
6'6" too.
Yeah, I mean, when I played, difference between guard and tackle, when you're on that corner and you're on that edge and you're blocking those wide 9 rushers and those guys coming up the field, you feel a little more secure when you're inside, when you got the big tackle next to you in the center right next to you. Right. And I think that didn't put him on an island. And the fact of the matter is, playing with Mailata and Lane Johnson, I think he's on Lane Johnson's side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No Johnson's side.
So
that's helpful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
look at Mailata. Here's a guy that never played football. He played Australian football before, and he was just a great athlete.
Yeah.
So athletically, I just think it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be like I said, I don't watch the Chiefs that often just because, but I think it's going to be a great matchup, and I think a lot of the people that are on the outside think that the Chiefs are going to just win the game and everything else. I think the Eagles are definitely going to play them tough, and so I was watching like all the local shows and you hear about the referees and you hear about this and you hear about that, but at the end of the day, I really think that the Eagles are going to take it to them. So if we go around the room to the predictions, I'll start with mine. And you might think I'm crazy or not, but I think the Eagles, of course, are going to take the Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to win 38-31. That's my prediction. I think if they could hold them to 31 and really run the football well, they could control the clock. I think that's the best way they have a chance. So that's my prediction. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Okay.
I think it's going to come down to the team that wins the turnover battle. You look at the last time at the Super Bowl, the only team that the Eagles turned it over, Kansas City won. So I think if the Eagles can limit the turnovers and their offense is hitting on all cylinders, I think 35-17, 35-24.
Okay, so you said
Eagles.
all right. So I said 38-31.
All right, I'm going to jump in because I got a couple things
Yeah,
I
you
got to get
gotta
off
go.
my mind. That Carl really sparked me on something here. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. I like 34-31. And Dave Tobbs, that's the Chiefs special teams, longtime special teams coach. And Lumpy, Lumpy gave us a breakdown. I think it's a good one. Their offense versus your defense, their defense. Where's the special teams? It's a third of the game. It's about a third of the plays, and I'm going to give the edge right to the Chiefs on that, even though they've had different guys in, but they've had injuries to both their punter and their kicker this year.
Mhm.
And I think Butker, their kicker, is good to go. I hope so. He's about as good as there is in the game right now. I'm not even sure about that one, but nonetheless, whoever the guys, it's the Chiefs have been playing very, very well on special teams. I expect that to continue, and I think that's one difference maker, and I expect I think both of these offenses are explosive and talented, and incrementally, all of us are old enough to understand how the very minor, but people don't really understand at the D1 and NFL level. They change or modify 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different rules a year. It's this game, but it's like a bit by bit by bit by bit. They keep changing the game, and it's always benefiting the offense and scoring because we're not like the Europeans and the South Americans that want to watch a soccer game 1-0, and I think it's a great game. That's not a great game for us, and we're just built different, wired different, and we like to see the scoring. And I don't think this is. I don't know what's going on. I've seen some really poor officiating this year. And we haven't really talked about that. I don't even think it's worth discussing. There won't be any. I don't anticipate any marginal calls. I think both quarterbacks know that if they're going to run downfield and slide, they better get down earlier than they think. I think that's that needs to be a rule change because, I think we saw quarterbacks take advantage of that rule this past season. So I think that'll be changed. I don't think there'll be any monkey business like that. I think I hope that the referees let them play fast and loose and that we'll see some scoring. 34-31 Chiefs.
Okay. And Carl, I had you at 35-31 Eagles.
35-21.
21. Okay. All right. Lumpster, you're up.
I'll tell you, I think that I think the Eagles are going to dominate the game. I think the Eagles can dominate the game with their running game. I think the Eagles 34-23.
34-23 Birds.
Yeah.
And Carl,
Let me get your opinion. You know, the Eagles guys, though. Like I know it's just a short memory. So just thinking back to the last Eagles playoff game. So Saquon just does what he does. He's so exciting, and he breaks one loose. First or second carry of the game, takes it all the way down the field. I don't know, 67 yards or something like that. I think he's got the NFL record this season for most 30+ touchdown carries, right? Never been like this. Goes like Gale Sayers broke his record, that kind of shit. This is like, guy's amazing. There's no question about that. Although this last game that Saquon played in, he got quiet. The remaining 3 quarters, he was quiet. I think he only had about 20 yards the rest of the game.
Yes.
And
I think that was
I wonder, is that, that could be, I don't know that he had that many carries. That could be just the guile of the play calling. Sometimes I see Andy Reid calling these wild plays for the Chiefs to execute, when sometimes I think, don't show them yet, like save that one. But I know that both these offenses have a lot of creativity, and they have incredible imaginative play callers. But I also want to say they're both of their quarterbacks. And no, I don't think that the Eagles are quite as accomplished offensively as the Chiefs have been the last 3 years, but they're pretty damn close. And boy, you guys really broke it down for me. The offensive line play, the personnel of the Eagles offensive line is really spectacular. And I can't see anybody. I can't see on either side of the ball a lot of defensive stops. I don't expect many punts. I can see 1-2 punts in this game, and the rest is going to be offense. Yeah, that's how I see it. You guys have made it clear to me and reminded me of exactly how proficient and professional and rugged the Eagles are on. I in particular on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball.
They can grind it.
Well, here's a stat. The stat says they don't touch Saquon or any Eagles running back until they get 2 yards downfield.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's huge.
To your point, Pete, where you were talking about his carries after those couple long runs, what it does, even though, I mean, he had probably some carries in that second half, and Washington tried to they basically shut him down. But it opened up the running lanes for Hurts. And then and then they throw a curveball with Kenny Gainwell, who's a little bit quicker, a little bit heftier, and then it also opens up the outside with Brown and Smith. And so, I mean, there were a lot of things the Eagles did that I wish they would do more often. There was a couple times where they would roll Jalen out and hit Goddard up the seam on with the tight end rolling out. I was like, where's that been all year? I mean, I'm an old offensive lineman. I see that all the time. It's like, come on, do that, use that. And to your point, when Jalen's running, moving when that pocket's rolling, he's a little more dangerous than he is when he's. Now, don't get me wrong, he throws a great ball, but he's got a great receiver down there in A.J. Brown who's going to go up and get it. So, and I think a lot of people forget that Devontae Smith was a Heisman Trophy winner.
So Carl, I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that pass in the seam to Goddard was Hurts' first seam pass all season long.
It probably was.
Yeah.
But you got to remember, Goddard's been out. He's been in and out.
But I know that's a rather strange statistic. But as we know, that's a matter of the schemes that they're running.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Travis Kelce's obviously the opposite. Because what does he do? All he makes his living finding places to stop.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've heard interviews between him and Mahomes where they're basically playing backyard football.
Yeah.
Hey, run the spot. They know each other. They play together so long that they know what they're going to do. So it's
they connect so well that like when Kelsey sees an opening, he'll settle down in the hole
And Mahomes knows he's going to
And
be there.
Mahomes sees that. Whereas a lot of quarterbacks would throw the ball to where the pattern should be going.
Right.
Holmes, I mean, they're on the same place. He knows that, okay, Kelsey knows there's an opening there that he's going to settle down. That's where the ball's going to go.
Yeah.
Even though it's a different pattern.
Yeah.
But that's just a matter of being connected, playing together for so long, and both being top-notch players.
It helps that they've had a consistency in their play caller.
Sure.
I mean, Jalen
Sure.
Hurts, what, 5 different coordinators in his 6 years of playing. It's like, come on, he's getting a different play caller like every year. So
That's a good point.
Means a lot.
Until next year when he goes to the New Orleans.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, look at the teams, and then like I said, this would be a great matchup. I think it's going to be a fun game.
Yeah.
It's not going to be fun for the fans of either one of the teams because probably our heart's going to be in our mouth the whole time.
Right.
But I think it's definitely going to be a good game to watch. Like I said, we're going to wrap this up, but I wanted to say thank you guys for coming on and sharing. I definitely think that everybody thinks the game's going to be close, and it's going to be a great game. And I do want to thank you and Pete and Carl and Lump to taking out time of your day to share this information with everybody. And we hope it's a great game.
Yep.
All right.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Good seeing you guys.
Enjoy the game.
Hey, good seeing you, Pete.
Hey, Pete.
So-
While you're on, let's do a quick plug. And I know you give a lot of fitness tips to people. How can they check out your fitness tips?
Oh man, I'm easy to find on social media. Pete Koch, Instagram, LinkedIn. I bet really the biggest following is LinkedIn for me, and I've got PeteKoch.com. So thanks, Ed.
Hey, no problem. And if they don't do it, what was your line you said to Clint Eastwood in? What'd you say?
I'm gonna,
Come on, Pete, say it for us. Do it.
I'm gonna rip your head off and shit down your neck.
There you go, Pete. My man, right
It still
there.
sounds the same. It just doesn't look the same.
Yeah, well, you're pretty intimidating back. Well, you're still intimidating, Pete. I mean, come on. If I said that, they'd be like, yeah, okay. All right, guys. Well, have a great night. We'll talk
See y'all.
soon, okay?
See you guys.
you.
Go Birds.
Go Birds. Yeah.